So the reason for the stop is because you're keep veering off to the left, and then you're not stopping at the stop.
This is the video Justin Timberlake's lawyers tried to hide for almost 2 years, and now that it's finally public, it's worse than anyone expected. Okay, so the video is out. And after everything his lawyers did to stop it from getting here, I honestly wasn't sure we'd ever see it. For almost 2 years, Justin Timberlake's legal team pulled every lever they could find. They went to court. They filed for a restraining order. They told a judge this footage was an unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. They argued it was irrelevant. They said releasing it would cause severe and irreparable harm. They fought this thing like the footage had nuclear codes in it. And then on March 20th, 2026, Sag Harbor Police released it anyway.
What are you doing?
I'm on the world tour.
So let's actually go back to the night it was all filmed. It's just after midnight. June 18th, 2024. The Hamptons, Long Island, one of those places where people go specifically to be seen or specifically to not be seen, depending on who they are. Justin Timberlake is in a rented BMW, trying to follow his friends back to the house after a night out at a place called the American Hotel. He says he had one martini, just the one, and he's just following his friends. He's not doing anything, everything is fine, except a Sag Harbor police officer is watching his car drift left.
This works, you just put your lips over it and you blow into it like you're blowing a balloon. No?
Yeah.
Then he watches it roll straight through a stop sign. Lights go on. Car pulls over. The body cam starts recording. And what happens next is 18 minutes of footage that no PR team on earth could have scripted their way out of. The officer leans into the window, flashlight on, and right away you can see it. The eyes are bloodshot and glassy. The speech is just slightly too careful, the kind of deliberate slowness you recognize in someone who is working hard to sound completely normal. The officer asks why he's in the area. Timberlake says he was following friends home. Fine. Then the officer asks what he does. He says, "I'm on a world tour." The officer just kind of pauses. A what? A world tour, doing what? And Timberlake, and I want you to picture this, a 43-year-old man who has sold 88 million records, sitting in a rented BMW at midnight, says, it's hard to explain. A world tour. I'm Justin Timberlake. The officer doesn't miss a beat. You are Justin Timberlake? Do you have a license with you? Completely flat. Zero reaction. Just license, please. That moment right there sets the tone for everything that follows, because that officer's energy never changes once. Justin Timberlake, pop legend, means absolutely nothing to this guy. And that's honestly the most interesting thing about the whole video. Then come the field sobriety tests. And this is where the footage gets genuinely hard to watch. Not because it's dramatic, but because it's just so uncomfortable. The officer runs through the instructions for the walk and turn. Timberlake is listening, clearly trying to keep up, but he looks lost. He stumbles on the straight line, he pauses mid-test, and then quietly, almost to himself, he says, "These are like really hard tests." He's not putting on a show, he's not trying to get out of anything. He just genuinely looks like a man who had no idea his Tuesday night was going to end like this, standing on the side of a road, trying to walk heel to toe while a cop watches and says nothing. He tells the officer his heart is racing. "I'm a little nervous," he says. And you believe him, because he looks it. Then they put the handcuffs on. And the second that happens, a woman comes running up to the scene. SD Stanley, his stylist who'd been out with him that night. She sees the handcuffs and she completely loses it. Not in a scary way. In the way that a person loses it when their famous friend is being arrested and they genuinely cannot believe this is actually happening. Stop it. No way. Don't say it. She's begging the officers. Can she take him home? No. Can she give him his phone? No. That's not how this works. And then she tries something else entirely. "Can you guys please just do me one favor," she says. "Because you love bye 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 or sexy back. One favor. Let me ask him if he wants me to give him his phone." She invoked NSYNC to 2 cops on a roadside at midnight, and it worked. They let her go over to the car and speak to him through the window. Whether it was the bye 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 argument or they just thought it was harmless, nobody knows. But she got her moment. Meanwhile, Timberlake is sitting in the back of the police car, trying to make sense of what's happening. He asks, "Why are you arresting me?" Not aggressive, not hostile. He just genuinely seems confused about how they got here. They drive him to the station. He finds out he's staying the night. His response, sitting in that station, is, "I'm going to be here all night." You guys are wild, man. And at some point, talking to 2 officers at the station, he says, "You boys treat me like I'm a criminal." Then, when they close the door to his cell, he asks them to leave the light on. That last detail is the one that sticks with me. Not the sobriety test, not the NSYNC moment. Just a guy asking for the light to stay on. That's not a pop star. That's just a person who's scared and embarrassed and wants to get through the night. Now here's where the story gets more complicated than the footage itself. Timberlake refused the breathalyzer that night. His lawyers immediately said he wasn't intoxicated. He pled not guilty, and for 9 months it looked like they might actually fight the whole thing. Then, in September 2024, he took a plea deal. He pled guilty to driving while impaired, a lesser charge, non-criminal, not the original DWI misdemeanor. He got a $500 fine, 25 hours of community service, a 90-day license suspension, and he had to record a public safety announcement about drunk driving. Just sit with that last part. The man who said he only had one martini and wasn't doing anything wrong legally agreed to go on record and tell people, "Don't drink and drive." And then, nearly 2 years after the arrest, his team went back to court specifically to stop you from seeing the video. They said it showed him in an acutely vulnerable state. They said the 8 hours of footage went far beyond anything relevant to his arrest. They said it would do irreparable damage to his reputation. The judge looked at all of that and said no. Releasing it doesn't constitute an invasion of privacy. Out it went. What makes all of this worth actually talking about isn't the arrest itself. People get pulled over. Famous people get pulled over. That part isn't a story. What's a story is the distance between who Justin Timberlake has spent 25 years presenting himself to be and what the Bodycam actually captured. This is the guy who made Sexy back, who wore the suit and tie for a decade like he was born in it, who always looked like he was exactly where he was supposed to be, completely in control, completely untouchable. And the Bodycam shows a man saying the sobriety tests are hard, asking why he's being arrested, and requesting that the lights stay on when they close his cell door. That gap between the image and the moment is what people are actually watching when they click on this video. Not to pile on. Just because it's real in a way that almost nothing about a celebrity ever is. The Bodycam exists for this reason. Not to embarrass anyone, but because at some point, collectively, we decided that what happens during a police stop shouldn't change based on how famous you are or how good your lawyers are. The camera doesn't know your discography. It doesn't care about your tour dates. It just runs. And in the end, every court filing, every legal argument, every attempt to keep this footage private couldn't change what actually happened. One night in the Hamptons, Justin Timberlake got into a car after a few drinks, missed a stop sign, drifted into the wrong lane, and got pulled over by an officer who responded to "I'm Justin Timberlake" with, "Do you have a license with you?" Which is exactly the right response. Tell me what you think in the comments. And if you want to make the argument that this footage should have stayed private, genuinely, make it. I want to hear the other side. Subscribe if you're here for the full story, not just the headline.